guys, this is me again, Takimi. So for this video, we will be implementing the login feature of our custom e-commerce back office web portal. So without further ado, let's start. So let's first start with the API endpoint, which is the login, which has the complete endpoint of API, V1 account, and then login. And for this endpoint, we do have a um, login user command as the payload, which has these types of data within it, the email, and then the password, and which returns a responsive token model, which includes the definition. So we have the company ID, access token, the refresh token, the user ID, the email, and then the list of user permissions. So after that, we will have the login command validator. So basically, what this does is just puts rules for the fields that we have in our login user command. So basically, validating the data which is being passed from the client to the backend. So for this one here, for the email, we do have this not empty, and then whenever this is empty, so this with message here, this will be displayed in the response whenever that the email entered is empty. And then it also has this email address custom validator to determine whether the entered email is actually having the email format. And the same goes with the password, checking if it's not empty, and then having this message here, and then setting the minimum length of the password to 5, and having this message of password field should be 5 characters minimum. So yeah, so this is the command validator. And then next will be the login user command handler. So basically, again, the handler handles the logic for our platform. So here we have this within this line 37 here, we map the login user command request to a user login model here, and then within this text line here, using the basically using the email, I retrieve the email, or let's say I'm using this line here for verifying if the email that was used for the login is existing within the database. So here is the implementation here. So we have this like the get user info by email, which is passing the by email as the parameter, and then I am using a stored procedure here to retrieve the data which matches the email. So this USP underscore get user info by email. So this is what it looks like. Yeah, this one here. So the sort procedure has a email parameter and retrieves the ID, the company, the whether the logged in user is a admin or not, the name, email, the password hash, the refresh token, and then the expiry time here. And then it basically just returns the data retrieved from the database whenever this is not null, but otherwise it returns null. So going back here, this one here. So within the next line here, I use a if statement to determine whether the user is null. So if the user is null, so it will return a message which indicates that it is a invalid user. And whenever the user will not be null, so now we will create a instance of the password hasher, which we will be using for verifying whenever the sent password from the payload, and then matching it within the data retrieve here. So basically, like this one here, verify hash password. So after doing this here, we try to validate whenever if the password out here is successful or not. So within this line here, we try to check against it. So whenever the password oath is not equal to success, then it will return a like this part here, a message which indicates that the email or password is invalid. And whenever this is and whenever that this part here is successful, so we now proceed with the claims. So basically, like just adding chunks of data for the response for the claims that we have, and then for this line here, we created a instance of the JWT token for generating the refresh tokens and then the access tokens, as what you can see here. And then by assigning the generated tokens and the expiry time to the retrieved user here, and then basically by assigning the some data for our token model, which we will be using as the return for this handler. And then for this one here, we created the update user token model. So the main purpose for this one here is to update the it's basically to update the values within the users, which is this one here, the refresh token and then the time. I just use this for tracking it. And so after we have set this token model here, so basically we pass it within this line here. The bool is user token updated, and then here is the implementation for that one. So what I did here was just to pass the update user token model, and then again use the stored procedure USP underscore update user token to update the actual fields here, which is this one here. Uh, so which is one here. Basically by updating the refresh token and then the refresh token expiry time as per the company, and then the server ID. And so this one here. And then but after that, I check if the server is not null and if the user is updated. And if this is true, so basically I will get the get user permissions here, and try to assign it to the permissions within the token that we have here. So this is how I implemented it. So basically just still using the stored procedure um, called USP get user permissions, and then passing it with the command the company ID and then the user ID. And here's what the stored procedure looks like. Get user permissions. So this one here. Basically just joining the users table, then the users permission, and then the permissions, and getting the ID and the name using the company ID and then the user ID. So going back, so this one here. So whenever there's already permissions that are assigned by default with the user, so it will basically return it, but otherwise it will be null. So going back here, For this one here, so the purpose for this line here will be to generate the user session permission. So basically, these permissions will be used within the app, like basically for like a session. So what I did here was is the implementation for the get user sessions permission. I just pass the server ID and then retrieve the user permissions, which will be used for the session permissions. So we have used the USP underscore get user session permissions, and here's what it looks like. So this one here, and then after that, basically just mapping that user session permissions to the session permission, and then just looping through it, and then trying to assign the date time now for the date created, and then we save the user session permissions to the session permissions table using the entity framework ORM. So this one here. So after that, if things are successful here, so we just basically return the message called login successful, and this will basically um, return the update the token model which has the data that we need for the current session that we have for the login. So, okay, for us to try it, let's open Postman. So, for example, we have here the user login. So, the API v1 account slash login. So, let's try and log in one of our users. So, let's just do this one here. And then let's just say it's test company one, this one here. So let's just try to log in test company one with the password of this one here, and then we click send. Oh, sorry, my bad. I forgot to run. Sorry. So let's just build this for a while and run it. Apologies for that one. So let's just wait for this to run. Okay, so oops. Okay. So yeah. Wait, let me just adjust this for a while. I need to just run the just the API alone for this one for now. Just close this for a while. Okay, apologies for that one because just recently but I was testing the web API and combined it with a MVC frontend, which is this one here, which I will be discussing maybe later with the series. But for now, let's just test the API. So again, let's run it again. And then after running this one, okay, so since the API was now working, so let's go back to Postman again and try it one more time. So now let's log in using the test company. And then, so now we can see here that the login works. We have generated the token and then the refresh token, but currently we don't have permissions. So let's try to log in again using the other um, login account. So test company 2. Okay, so okay, before we try to log in for the test company 2, so since we already have login for test company 1, let's try to check the refresh token, then the expiry time for the refresh token within the database if that was updated. So let's go back here. Let's go back to the select users, execute. So basically, the login worked and it updated the by refresh token, and then the refresh token expire here. So basically that works. And now let's try to log in like the test company 2, just to show that what permissions that it defaultly has. So let's click on login, or like send rather. Oh, why is this like this? Anyway, again, let's just go back to the database again and then check if the refresh token and then the token expiry is not blank. So yeah, that works. And let's try test company 3. Okay, yeah. So test company 3, we can see that it has the token, it has the refresh token, and other details that is related to the current logged in user. And then we have this permission here, these permissions here for that specific user that logged in. And then again, if going back to the database, sorry, we see that the tokens are updated. So basically for this feature here, so we can now um use this the API login endpoint to integrate with our front end. And yeah, so far so good. The backend API now works. And now the next thing that we'll do within the next video will be to integrate the this backend web API within our Angular front end, like this one here, basically this one here. But that's for the next video. So for now, um, I hope that you have learned something from the video, and then stay tuned. Thank you.